desire that gets you in, and it's recognizing when you are ready to let go of everything more precious than. Hi, my name is Jeff Barkman, and I talk about things. Today I'm talking about dignity. Kind of. False dignity. Putting a name to something doesn't make it what you've called it. My story, I have a long history with false dignity actually stealing abundant life from me. So I'll start with this. False dignity is the enemy of boldness. And when I'm talking about boldness, a lot of times in Christian culture, you talk about boldness and immediately it goes to this like evangelizing people in the street thing. I guess what I'm saying applies to that, but that's not what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. When I'm talking about boldness, I'm talking about like there's a timidity at play in Western culture anyway, that tells us like there's certain things you're not allowed to say. You can't, if there's other people waiting in line or something and like they don't go and get in line, you have to wait for them to do whatever. And then one person goes and gets in the short line and everyone's like, oh, how dare he? Meanwhile, we love capitalism. Go figure. Anyway. The thing about boldness is that God pursues us boldly without any shame or embarrassment or like there's like no shyness in God's pursuit of us, if that makes sense. And the thing about my life anyway, and I'm sure that you can relate, is a lot of my life is spent looking to see what God is doing in the moment right here, right now, and then partnering with it, doing what he's doing. And when we actually mirror heaven, it releases the essence of heaven into the earth. So when Jesus was praying, Lord, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, it's not like he was praying, Lord, just invade the earth, nothing to do with us, and just like do your thing and force us to do your thing. That's not the story we find ourselves in. Your will on earth as it is in heaven looks like us partnering with him. The narrative was always that he wanted us to partner with him. And actually, yeah, so there's something that's just released into the earth when we behave like him, when we mirror his nature and what he's really, really like. Something's just manifested in the earth. Like, I'm convinced, we all know the story of David stripping down and like dancing around like an idiot when the Ark of the Covenant was being brought back into Jerusalem after like however much time. Why was God pleased with that? I think that God was pleased with him, because he was mirroring the heart of God in that moment. I think that God was so excited that the day had finally come where the Israelites were going to actually have access to his tangible presence again, that the heart of God was celebrating raucously. And David, the king, mirrored that heart posture on the earth, and that's why it pleased God. He didn't wait in line. He didn't look around to see if anyone else was taking their clothes off. He had this boldness, which is ridiculous and offensive, but the Lord loved it. Why? Because he was mirroring the attributes of God, I think. Like dignity is important, and like in the context of a ministry team or something like that, like when I'm doing ministry team training at Rock Creek Church, I'm talking about people's dignity and how actually one of our core values of ministry is that we respect and we defend people's dignity. That's why we don't let demons manifest like crazy or something, like um, we guard people's dignity. But we're not talking about dignity, we're talking about false dignity. And false dignity is that thing inside. I'll tell a little story to kind of like share about my false dignity, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but I don't care. I'm gonna go for it because I'm bold. A couple of years back, I lived in Toronto, and I had this one buddy who. This didn't happen to me very often, but like this one buddy, and I was like, man, he's handsome. And I was like, so what do you do for a job? And he's kind of embarrassed. He's like, yeah, I get my picture taken for a living. And I was like, oh, okay. So he was some kind of like reasonably big time model. Like I'd see pictures of my buddy like on billboards next to the highways and stuff like that. But he'd take me to these parties that was like all models, everyone's models everywhere. And I'd been to a few different types of industry parties before. And so when he said, let's go to this model party, I was like, oh man, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be like a crazy good time. And we get to this model party. Nobody's talking to anybody. And nobody's on the dance floor. In fact, a whole bunch of people are standing around the dance floor, arms crossed, just looking. And I think there's like maybe like one or two people who were like the weirdos. And everyone was like, ew. Or something along those lines. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. But I would say that false dignity is the thing that keeps you on the side of the dance floor going, ugh. And you can tell it's false dignity because it steals the abundant part of life out. It just gives you regular life and then gives you nothing in return. Like you spend the sort of top 30% of like fun or like risk in romance or like any of the like adventure, like all these different things. Like, well, no, I can't let people see me sweaty, so I can't go on that amazing hiking and camping trip. Or like all these rules that you've got for yourself or that I had for myself. That was the deal, man. Yeah, I'd say like it turns the volume down on life so that you're only sort of allowed like a 6 out of 10. False dignity sucks, man. When I was in ministry school, all sorts of people were experiencing the joy of the Lord, and I couldn't quite. I'd felt this for so long. I couldn't quite give like all of myself to God. I didn't know how to. I couldn't quite like, I couldn't just jump in, I couldn't like experience what everyone else was experiencing. And I realized that it was because I had a core value at play in my life, to be cool, I guess. Like coolness was the thing that was holding me back from the love of God, holding me back from encountering God in a deeper way. And it really just came down to this moment where I saw that and I was like, you know what? This thing has not served me well. All it's done is turned life from 10 down to 6. And it's just cost me this like 40% of real life. I'm putting a number on it just to make a point, but it's cost me the beautiful parts of life, and it's given me nothing in return except sort of like this pretend idea of what people might think about you, which is completely pretend because nobody cares. And if a stranger one day thinks you're a bit weird, that doesn't matter because they don't know you. You probably are a little bit weird. You're probably more alive than them. And you're never going to see them again in your life. Their opinion doesn't actually matter in your life. There's no reason for you to be making big time life decisions about how you're going to interact with God based on what some random stranger thinks. Their opinion is worthless in the realm of like whether you receive love from God or not. Yeah. I wrote down in my notes, maybe it's more true to say when I let go of coolness, God got more access to my heart and he just rushed in because that's what he's like. So thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate my viewers. I love when you guys comment just down there here on YouTube. It's just, I just love it. Yeah, so like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bless you.